Welcome to January's. I had to check what month it is. Sorry. Welcome to January's PeriClinic. And today's PeriClinic is loosely entitled "Hitting Reset: Why New Year's Resolutions Are a Myth." I would like to use a stronger word than myth, but I'm not going to. I'm going to try and keep this PC for a short while. Um, but basically, in short, with our lovely experts here, we're going to explore why January can be a time when we're kind of bombarded with lots and lots of information that says we need to change, that old us wasn't good enough, and actually why that's not necessarily true. So, before we do that, let's have a quick intro from everybody. I'm going to start with Leslie because I know your internet's a bit intermittent. So, do you want to give us a quick intro, Leslie?
Sure, of course. So I'm at tennis, so you might hear background noise, so I apologize. But I'm Leslie Urbis. I'm a registered dietitian, personal trainer, and a nervous system expert. And I help women feel like themselves again without having to give themselves up and minimizing all of the data and things that they're taking in to try to make it really easy for themselves to feel back in themselves and get the results they want without all the fluff. That's what I do.
Awesome. Cool. Joe.
Hello, I'm Jo. I am a clinical therapist and mindfulness teacher in the UK, and I co-pilot the hub with Emily. We run it between us. And I tend to help women who are struggling with anxiety, brain fog, insomnia, hot flushes, overthinking. And I tend to deal with the neurological side of perimenopause and bring in somatic tools and mindfulness techniques along with hypnosis to help them to rewire thinking patterns and feel better.
Oh, Nikki.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nikki Leary. I am a certified nutritional therapy practitioner, an herbalist, and a Reiki master. And I live at my farm in central Wisconsin, where I help women online to really pick a natural path to healing that includes nutrition and also some spirituality and just knowing yourself and your body. And I create teas that kind of allow people to help with this peri symptoms. So that's my main focus, is really coaching women on their nutrition to really get you back to feeling the best that you can. That's me.
Awesome. Susie.
Yes, my name is Susie B, and I partner with Jen here. She's also here. I'll have her introduce herself in a second. And together we run the Menopause Empowerment Circle, which is a community for women in perimenopause, menopause, and beyond who want the lifestyle side of things without the complication. So we like to say that we make menopause make sense. And so we give you 12 easy ways for you to reset 12 hormones naturally within 12 weeks. That's kind of our process. I am the fitness side of things and the habits coach in the group. And then Jen is our dietitian and therapist. So she does the food and the mental side of things.
Cool. Jen, anything more you want to add there?
I just wonder when we're all going to live in the same community because we could all support each other so well. And I love all of this. So thank you for having us. No, Susie said it perfectly. I am a registered dietitian and a therapist and a diabetes educator. And I absolutely love, love, love being here, partnering with Susie, helping women just each and every day. It's just such an honor to be able to walk with them. So I am excited about being here. So thank you.
Awesome. Right, Joe, I'm very aware that you are on a limited time, so I will fire a question at you first.
I'm ready.
I know. I just give you a heads up before I even formulate the question. So it's January. We are left, right, and centre being bombarded with New Year stuff like the gym memberships, the diets, the all the stuff that every New Year kind of implies that somehow we've not been good enough until now, and that suddenly this is our year to be finally good enough. Where do you stand on that?
Well, how long have I got? I will make this brief because I realise I could go on for easily an hour on my own, and I'm not going to do that. There's so many schools of thought that play into this concept of New Year, New You. And I want to just bring it back to something really, really basic, which is January is only new on a calendar. That's all it is. It's not new in terms of our seasonal cycle, our wheel of the year cycle, our energy levels in January versus in July. It's kind of a concept that I feel we've all bought into societally and culturally, that we have to suddenly make this sweeping fresh start in January, otherwise we're some kind of failure. And as you said earlier, it also implies that there was something wrong with us beforehand. And I think that's probably quite a damaging mindset for us to fall into the trap of a little bit. It feels like also that there's a distinct stop and start point to all of this. And of course it's not, is it? We're on a continuum of life. So I don't hold personally with this intense pressure that we feel for New Year's resolutions and New Year, New Us, because energetically we aren't very well positioned in January to start making sweeping changes to our lives. It feels harsh, it feels incongruent, the weather's not how we want it to be, we're tired, we're exhausted from the holidays, we're probably still full of cheese or trying to get through it in the fridge, and it just doesn't line up for me. And I'm like, oh my God, why would I want to do this now? We should be wintering. One of my favourite books is by Catherine May, and it's called Wintering. And it kind of sets out this lovely seasonal compassionate framework for kind of it being okay to just dream seed, hibernate, start planning, by all means, make tiny changes, bring in some more good stuff if you like. So that's kind of my broad brush approach to how I feel about New Year's resolutions in January.
So yeah, I thought that was going to be broadly your opinion. And I think actually, given the panel of experts we've got here, it's lovely that we can look at how, because for a lot of people, still the fact that the date changes is the time when they go, okay, this year is when I'm going to get on top of my menopause symptoms. It's when I'm going to start doing all the good stuff. So even if we get away from the kind of needing to become a better human or whatever, actually it is a nice time when, you know, the holidays are behind us. Maybe there's less cheese in the fridge. All right. Let's not look in my fridge. But actually we might be starting to think, okay, enough of feeling crap. It's time for me to just take back a bit of control over my life and my health and my well-being. And I think with this particular set of experts that we've got on this call, that's a really nice way of looking at this. So I'm going to come to Nikki first. I'm like, what am I doing? If somebody's wanting to make just some little changes, we're not talking big sweeping changes, obviously we've sort of covered that, but what would be the tiny things that you would encourage somebody to start incorporating into their life if they're wanting to just start feeling a bit better?
I love that question because there's so many places I could go with it. What I want to say is that by mid-January, statistically, most people have failed on their New Year's resolution, right? So you set this goal and then you fail. So you add in a desire, something that you don't have right now that you want to achieve. And then when you don't get there, you beat yourself up and you're actually pulling yourself even further away from your goal. And that's the issue right there, is that people, it's not about setting goals or that, you know, big change or that you need to improve or shift and be a new you. I mean, there's always improvements. If you're not feeling well, definitely take steps to improve, but please don't add the failure to any of that. And that's why the New Year's resolution is just like, so to me, goal setting, love it. Pulling yourself out of complacency, love it, right? It's, you know, really reassess who you are. What do you want? What are you trying to do and going for it? But it doesn't need to be a revamp. And the truth is, and I'm sure Susie is going to have some great habits that you guys can throw in there too, because this is so habit driven, of just look, our whole lives are automated. You don't think about it. You're just going to complacently walk through your day. So small steps, interject that thought process of, hey, what can I do a little bit different right now in this moment to not follow the exact same routine that I was? That was getting me the result I didn't want. Okay. And it could be all the things you already know. Like, you don't need to go to school to do nutrition to know how to water yourself, right? How to eat vegetables, right? How to eat more fruit, how to eat more, how to plan, not skip lunch because you're busy. I mean, those are all those little things that you can do. So again, my advice is to start so small and do the things right now that you already know you should be doing. right? Meal prepping is a great one. And it's not me telling you to go meal prep. It's for you to realize that, oh my gosh, I go to McDonald's or I get fast food on days I'm not prepared for food. That's one area I want to tackle. So you figure out how you're going to plan and cook a meal for 2 days in a row. That's going to last you, 2 days instead of having to, get fast food for the second day. It's just those small things. Like there's nothing, I don't support any big revamp, but just think of what you can do right now that you already know. You already know you need to eat more protein. How do you add in more protein snacks? How do you know when you go to the grocery store, you're going to buy more protein so that on Wednesday, when you're looking for a snack, you know what you can grab because it's already there, right? So it's all those really small things. There's nothing new that you need to do. Just do the stuff that you already know.
Love it. Um, Susie, I'm going to come to you about habits in a second, but Jen, do you have anything else to add on the sort of making small changes sort of nutritionally?
So I always like to kind of reframe the New Year's resolutions with different seasons in people's lives. So right now, currently, I have three boys that are in their 20s that have all kind of scattered across the United States. And so my January looks different than when my kids were going back to school and we had all the sports starting up and all of that. So different seasons mean different strategies and different outlook, right? So depending on what people, I was just talking to somebody yesterday about like unlearning all of the things that she's learned about diets and what she should do and all of that kind of thing. So I think I really want people to step into what is this season of your life that you're in? What does that look like for you? What would success look like for you now versus before? And if I compare myself to Leslie or Susie or Nikki or anybody else, like my life is just different. It's not better, it's just different, right? So when we can really hone in on the fact that we are in this particular season with our family, with our friends, with our spiritual life, with our work, whatever, then we can make different choices based on that. So when people are like, I don't have time to meal prep, I'm like, I'm sure you don't. So, like, what can we do so that you can still have fruits and vegetables available? You're just grabbing a clementine and you're running out the door. Like, let's not judge it. Let's just see what's actually working with your particular life stage right now. And then in 3 months, it's going to be completely different. I'm living proof of that. Like at 55, my life just changes all the time. You think you're going to have all this time when your kids move out. It is not true, which is good. It just means you're living a very vibrant life, right? Like, so I'm happy and really grateful for it, but it's just like it's different stages. And so when we can really embrace that, I think that's just a new way of looking at it. And it's less time sensitive to, oh my gosh, everybody else is doing all these things. Well, you will if you want to, and maybe you won't want to when you get to that stage, but just really giving ourselves that grace. So,
And I think that's really key, isn't it? Meeting people where they're at and actually, because you see all the, and I think this is why I rail against New Year's resolutions, actually, I think is because there's an assumption in all of them that suddenly you're going to become, you
mhm,
needed to have been somebody different and now you've got to somehow embody that.
mhm, mhm.
Susie, in terms of habits and goal setting and stuff like that, I was just thinking about kind of internal drivers versus external drivers, because that's huge, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah, there's so many different forces that are pumped into our bodies and into our minds at this point of the year of just what you're saying. It's time to start over. It's time to totally change everything. And that can be debilitating. It can be overwhelming. It can make it feel really heavy. And so what I encourage women to do at this point in the year is to just take a breath. Like we've hustle bustled through the fall season, through the holidays, all of that, where we're just giving and serving and offering so much to others. Our focus is so much on others, and it's a beautiful thing. I truly feel like January is a time where we can focus on us, but it doesn't come naturally. So that's always the first place that I recommend that women start. This is step one of all of my goal setting plans, is start where you are with a capital U. You have to be part of your process. Like, you have to take a breath here and realize you need to be back on your own priority list. I guarantee all of us have been running long lists day after day after day, all through the month of December. In January, guess what number one on your to-do list is? Your own first name. So when you get to that point, that can feel overwhelming already. You're like, oh my gosh, I got so far to go. So right there, I want you to just take a second breath, and rather than immediately jump into the future, sit in the present for a minute. And there's a book, so if you can see my shelf here right behind me, there's a book called The Gap and the Gain. And he talks about how you compare your progress with your past, not with your ideals, because your ideals are always constantly moving and improving. And so that gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it always feels further away. Whereas your progress, the change that you've already made, is tangible. You can actually see that. So instead of jumping right into goal setting and future planning, take a breath and be grateful for last year. Like, think about all the different things that you were blessed with last year. Maybe you've gone through some really hard things this year. Maybe you didn't accomplish the goals that you set last year and you're a little bit frustrated with that. Don't focus on that right now. Focus on the blessings that you had, on the things that you were able to experience, on the progress you made as a person, on, things that happened in your life that you're grateful for. If we can start our goal setting process with positivity and focusing on the good, then we're in such a better place to make change. And so that's always my step one, is start right where you are, take a breath, and just be here for a minute. Don't be so far into the future. Step one is not what's next. Step one is what's now. Step two, I think, this is one of my mantras, and it's sort of counterintuitive. Do less to achieve more. Most of us start in January with all of this ambition from wherever it comes from, and we're like, we're going to change everything about everything. And then by about January 3rd, we're frustrated, right? So we don't want that for you. So what I want you to do is harness the power of your magical mind. Your brain is wired for the number 3. That's the most brief form of pattern. Your brain is wired for pattern. And so the number 3 is the least amount you can do that your brain recognizes as change. And so what I want you to do is just come up with 3 things that you can start with. I'm not saying do small. I'm not saying don't do anything ever. I'm not saying that you don't deserve all the beautiful ambitions that you have in your brain and that you want for yourself. I'm saying do less today so that you're more prepared when you get to those next things, when you do those next steps. So that would be my recommendation. Write down all the things you want and then let it sit there for a minute and let 3 of them jump off the page to you. 3 things that you can start with. Or maybe one of those things jumps off the page at you. Jen and I are in health, so I'll just use, if you're writing down all of these things and like 10 of them are related to your health, realize, okay, all right, so that appears to be the top priority that I want for myself right now. Choose 3 simple things that you can do. Maybe drink more water. So give yourself something specific. 100 ounces of water a day. That's my goal. 100 minutes of exercise a week. That's my goal. And 1,000 steps more per day than I was taking last week. Like, you don't have to go from 0 to 1,000. Let's just go from 0 to 1 and then sit there for a few days, and then from 1 to 2 and move on that way. And then the third part of this, so first is start where you are, be right here first. Second is do less to achieve more. And third is to be consistent. For most of us women, that piece is the hardest part. So how do we be consistent? You don't go it alone. You don't go it alone. Other people are your key to consistency. Find your who. I always say find your who in many ways. So maybe this is a coach or an expert or someone. If you're wanting to lift weights and you don't know how, having somebody break that barrier down for you can be incredibly empowering. Just even one personal trainer session. If you're like, I can't afford to pay a trainer $1,000 a month, don't. Pay for 1 hour so they can watch your form, tell you what weights to lift, how to do it, and then break down that fear, that unknown, and get you started. Oftentimes the first day is the hardest day because we're afraid of beginning. Maybe it's something totally unhealth related. Maybe you are, this is the year that you want to change some things about your finances. Okay, so maybe you need to read a book about how to change your finances, or maybe you've already read 1,000,000 books, but it hasn't really made a difference. How can we implement that actual change and create action? So find your people, whether it's hiring somebody, whether it's reading something, whether it's, calling your best friend and telling her, I got to check in with you, 17 times a day between now and February 1st. Just whatever the support looks like. Surround yourself with people who, first of all, understand that you're ready for change. If you tell your husband and your kids, hey, we're going to eat healthy meals every day between now and forever, you might get some pushback on that. But if you tell your best friend that, and then you're like, hey, I actually did it today. Your best friend's gonna be like, heck yes, good job. Or your kids are gonna be like, ugh, this is the worst. Not a great support system. So find the people who understand the goal and will support you in a way that feels progressive and not heavy. So that would be my 3 bits of advice on how to create habits at the beginning of the year. Start where you are, do less, and find the right people.
Love it. Leslie, are you able to chat right now, or are you kind of...
I'm good.
Okay, you're good. So in what Susie was saying there about sort of doing less to do more, I know you do a lot of work around helping people to just get centered, get calm, get nervous system regulation. For so many of these, like trying to make little changes, trying to add in new habits and stuff, until we've got ourselves grounded, actually it's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. If I know some people identify as more like a highly sensitive person, etc., and sometimes 3 steps sound like 85,000 steps and 35 million possibilities. And like, you want me to do what? When? There's like 35 books that I could read on that right now, right? And so the overwhelm just goes through the roof, and it's like, why start? Because I stop, right? So I always think to come back to one of these 2 habits. And the first one is the moment you start to hear all the things that you're supposed to be doing and what is supposed to be happening and how to do this. If your brain is just like my brain, I'm going to move where you get overloaded. I want you to do exactly kind of what I'm doing. Like, oh my gosh, I got overloaded. There's too much in one sitting, right? So I'm going to walk away. I'm going to feel my feet on the ground. Okay. Why? Because I can be present right here, right now, in this moment, in knowing the ground is supporting me. I'm good to go. I'm breathing and the ground is supporting me. And then what I love to think about is that every moment can be a miracle. So if you can shift yourself right now from like, wow, there's so many tips here and there's so many amazing people. And I don't even know where I'm supposed to start, to just like, I'm starting by being on this call. And maybe that's all it had to take today, was just to be on the call and hear these things, to be around this in the background, right? And so I always go straight back to that, like feet on the ground, orient where you are. I am safe. Maybe even place your hand on the heart, like I am safe. And if I can't figure out how to do it, potentially this is where I can take the next step to becoming back to my body and grounded in this moment. And when I first did that, I want to say this, like when I first was like, cool, my feet are on the ground. They're always on the effing ground, right? Like, what is the big deal, right? Like I said it, I was like, okay, well, they tell me this is going to help. So I did it billions of times a day for 3 weeks. And after 3 weeks, when I was then confronted with the next thing I had to do to make myself better, I went, my feet are on the ground. And it was like, oh my God, I got this. Right. So, with any of the things that anybody said, take what it is and just come back to your body and feel where you're at right here to get started. And eventually, that one thing, whether it's do less, right? Right now, do less, get further, right? Or meal plan or whatever it is, or any of the things any of the ladies have said, when you can come back there, you'll get to where you need to go. So, short and simple.
Love that. Yeah, and it's true. And I think we're all on the same page here of keeping it really simple and making none of it daunting and trying really hard not to set ourselves up for failure. And I think when we have all the hormonal stuff going on as well, even the really simple stuff feels really big, doesn't it? So,
Yeah,
Nikki,
really big.
how would you help somebody if you've got somebody comes to you and they're just in overwhelm? What's your starting point? I mean, is it one of your teas? Does that help to calm people? Is it what strategies do you use?
So my go-to is going to be Reiki. So for people who don't know, Reiki is a form of energy healing, but it really tunes in to, now I will have to admit, I do what has been called Reiki on steroids, which means you can't technically call it all Reiki. I combine different energy modalities. Okay. But I'm looking at someone's overall energy field and saying, what is causing this feeling of disconnection? Right. There's a feeling, and that is something that I want to try to pinpoint, because what it can be is an emotion that's trapped. from someone's past, right? So something, you had a bad experience with something, that emotion, instead of flowing through your energy, got trapped, and it's causing you to be stuck. You have this, they call it like the fight or flight, but really a lot of people experience it as freeze, right? Your nervous system is going off, so you're freezing and you're stuck. So I like to open up Reiki to figure out what's going on, because it gives concrete answers, which sounds weird, but if I can tell you, hey, it looks like you had frustration trapped from when you were 28 years old, and that is something that I see vibrating in your aura. That person can usually go like, oh my gosh, I know what happened. That was when I got my divorce, or that's when my mom said this to me and everything blew up. And I can't stop thinking about that. That's been trapped in my energy field for this long. So it's usually something like that. So my first recommendation for people, if you're that lost, I recommend Reiki. It can do such crazy things that, from helping you sleep, it can reset your circadian rhythm, and that type of stuff. When you feel better, rejuvenated from sleep, then you are more grounded, to go through your day and to feel like you can handle what's coming. When you get overwhelmed, it's all of these bits that are falling apart, and you don't have anything that you're like, you're grabbing to hold on to something, and you've got nothing. You're just spiraling down. So that's where Reiki would come in. I also have a tea called Stop This Spiral, which is just for those like anxious spiraling thoughts. So it's not so much freeze mode, but it's when you get into overthinking and panic. Stop the Spiral, it has this certain herbs that will just calm your nervous system into like a reset of like, okay, you can sit and you can calm, and it's going to impact different parts of your body that will help you to have that reset. So those are two options I would have if you're in that immediate need, like I don't know what to do right now. Those are tools I offer.
Love it. Susie, some people, when they're in that kind of overwhelmed space, need to move. That's how they kind of get beyond that, isn't it? Is by physically moving so that their brain can focus on something. What would be the kind of exercise things that you would recommend for somebody who's just feeling, who's already active, who needs to move to be able to process life? What would you be recommending? I mean, are we talking heavy lifting, or are we talking getting out in nature? What would be the best thing, do you think?
I use a process I call yin yang. And if you are feeling very yin, you need some yang. If you're feeling very yang, you need some yin. And so if you're having a hard time like getting out of your bed, there's two approaches you can do. You can just do some form of movement that you enjoy, but most people can't get to that headspace. When they're feeling really low energy, then they need something more aggressive. Strength training is one of the greatest, fastest ways for you to shift every single cell in your body, including your brain. It gives you better oxygen, it gives you better blood flow than almost any other form of fitness. And so if you have access to a place where you can just do even just body weight lifting, like people are like, oh, I have to go to a gym and I have to lift really heavy weights. No, any sort of muscle activity, going up and down some stairs, doing some air squats, like that kind of stuff. That's where you start with just that flow. I highly recommend that when you're feeling that down energy, move to a different room and then move your body. So move to move. This does two things. One, it psychologically shifts what you're focused on. And then two, it actually creates momentum by just standing up and moving to a different room. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're just like, I cannot get off this couch, go into the bathroom and do some squats on the toilet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just something very simple to shift what your mind is seeing and then move your body in that space. If you can get outside, that is one of the fastest ways to create that mental shift. Sunshine, nature, even just fresh air can really speed up the process. So if you can go outside and do some air squats, if you can go outside and do, just walk around the block, if you have some form of elevated resistance available to you, if you live next to a hill, or if you live, next to somewhere that creates some muscle activity, that can be really, really empowering. People who love to hike, that's why they love to hike, because it does all of those things at once. It gets them in a new place. It gets them moving them or working their actual musculature, not just cardio, and it gets them out in nature where they're doing all of these things. So if you can do any of those things, I would recommend just moving to a different room and then moving your body in some way that either you enjoy or is strength training. If you're like, I can't think of anything I enjoy right now because nothing brings me joy, it's okay. That's okay. Just start with a little bit of strength training. Simple things for women in particular. Squats are one of the best things you can do. Squats, lunges, anything with progression between the lower body and the upper body, any sort of compound movement like that is going to be really, really effective to be able to make that shift, that oxygen to your brain, that movement through your body, and the psychological shift that needs to happen for you to get out of the physical space that you're in, as well as the mental space. So that's what I'd recommend. Move to move.
Love it. Nikki, you look like you had something to say.
Yes, and I love that. I love, like, oh my gosh, the move to move is amazing. So Susie, great. And I just want to add in, so I am a professional bodybuilder. Strength training is heck yeah. Where I'm personally, this is personal for me, I'm struggling. I just moved to Wisconsin. I live on a gravel road. It's so cold and icy and snowy here, and my gym is 15 minutes away. I'm a gym rat. Like, I live at the gym, and I have been pulled away because my hatred of winter and my love of the gym are like clashing in this January season right now. So just want to throw out there a silly thing that I did this week because I'm really sore and this is embarrassing because, again, I'm a professional bodybuilder. But my kid, because moving is important, I don't want to go outside, but you just need to move your body to feel better. My kids left their Just Dance game out in the living room, and okay, work home by myself, and at lunch I just saw it and I'm just like, well, no one's home, and I like plugged it in, and I am literally like I hurt my shoulders hurt. I'm so sore because yesterday I just got into dance mode. But the point is, like, yes, strength training, yes, all of these things, but if it's not speaking to you in this exact moment, just move your body. You've got lymph in your body that does not have a pump at all. It is only going to move through your body when you move your body. So it's Just Dance, then maybe that's it. And the strength training is tomorrow if today is not feeling it. Just want to throw out my little story.
I'm here for that. That honestly, it's a tip I give to clients so often. It's just like, put on your favorite music for 10 minutes. If everything else feels too daunting about moving your body, get on some tunes that you cannot sit still to. It's huge because it gets you, as you say, Susie, it gets you moving to move because you've had to go over to the stereo to put the music on, and suddenly it's just, a million times better.
That's
Leslie,
a great idea
anything
too, because it
I
clears
love?
your brain. Like, you can't think about what you were so deeply thinking about because you're thinking
Right.
about music instead. Music has a really powerful, it does what for the brain, what physical exercise does for the body.
100%, 100%. Leslie, what would you like to add on movement and well, apparently music? We're on to music now.
Yeah, totally get it. I love the music and the things like that. And yeah, mine used to be the old school power pad, which I still own to this day, if anybody remembers the first ever Nintendo. However, there becomes a time when you cannot physically move to move, right? Like, let's say you're in a meeting, or you're trapped at work, or you're trapped in traffic, or whatever. Sure, you can change the channel of the music, right? And you can hopefully get to where you want. But you ever have one of those times when it's just not the thing that's going to do the thing, right? Like, I always like to think about the time when we're trapped. So I suggest to people like a lion's breath, or like a vibrational noise in the back of your throat. So when you take a deep breath in and you exhale, I want you to exhale like either like a lion or add a hum, like a what do you call that? I'm trying to think of like the bell. I'm lacking it. Oh, a foghorn, like a foghorn on a
Okay.
boat. So you inhale, right? You inhale, I know, right? Like brain fog is real occasionally, right? So you inhale through your mouth. And when you exhale like a foghorn, but you do not stop exhaling until you feel like you have climbed that mountain. Like when you're going uphill and you're like, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep running. I'm just going to keep pushing, even though I'm so out of breath. Like, you are going to blow that foghorn until you have nothing left. And you're going to take another deep breath in and you're going to blow the foghorn until you have nothing left. And you're just going to repeat that over and over and over, because when you do that, you're doing exactly what that run is. You're excreting that physical anger, that frustration, that overwhelm, that whatever, through your breath. So because these beautiful ladies touch so wonderfully on the moving to move and all of the other beautiful things, that would be what I would suggest, because there comes times that you can't, or like, you got two small kids that are melting down. And yeah, you need to move, and you need to go hit that beach, and you need to get away from these two. But you would also be seen as a terrible parent if you just left the house with them inside, right? This is what I did. My kids love the foghorn breath, and they know the moment that I do it, like I'm overwhelmed, but they think it's funny. And so they do it with me. And I will literally foghorn maybe 5, 10, 15 times to do it, to where I can't, like, I have to stop because I have to breathe again, right? And it's so good. And then you just start laughing for no reason, and the whole thing is just changed. So that's what I would suggest.
To me, this is loud music in the car and singing along at the top of my voice. And it's that same thing
Mhm.
of you can't be lost in thought and be present with whatever the thing is that you're choosing as your thing to be present with. I mean, we moved house last year, and my partner moved up here just before me. He flew up, and then I drove up. And lots of people were saying, "Oh, is it not going to be really difficult doing all the drive on your own?" I'm like, nah, that means I can have my music at my volume with me singing along. And that made the whole drive I mean, and my partner does not like my singing. I think it's fair to say. But the power of music is huge, isn't it? Anyway, I've gone on a tangent again. I like a tangent. Right, bring it back, bring it back. So we've covered off that we don't need to build such huge expectations on ourselves that we fail, because we don't ever want to set ourselves up to fail. We've covered off that actually we can do things simply and we can keep it really simple. We've covered off that grounding ourselves is incredibly useful for getting back to being able to do things simply. We've covered off that if you can, a session of energy work to release past stuff, and indeed a session with a fitness coach or a personal trainer to outline what you want to be doing, are really, really positive things. I'm now going to ask each of you for 3 things that you would recommend to your best friend in perimenopause that she can do tomorrow to feel a bit better. These don't need to be big things, but what 3 things? Leslie, I'm going to come to you first. What 3 things would you recommend to your best friend that she can do today, tomorrow, this week anyway, that are really simple, but that will definitely make her start to feel a bit more like she's got this?
Okay, I'm going to keep it really simple because I feel like too much and you're going to jump ship. So my first thing is to say the word no. So I really feel like in perimenopause, that needs to be something, especially for a regulating of the nervous system. The number one thing we do as midlife women is say yes to everything. So say no. That's my first tip. My second tip would be to orient, to set an alarm on your watch or your phone if you feel so called, and try to orient multiple times a day. And all I mean by that, because there's a lots of different orienting, is one step. Feel your feet on the ground or your butt in the chair. I feel my feet on the ground, I feel my butt in the chair, and I'm 100% supported. I feel my feet on the ground, my butt in the chair, and I'm 100% supported. And then the last thing I would tell you to do would be to think. I would take 3 minutes, grab a journal and write down, out of everything that's going wrong in your life, the one thing that could be where you start that you would see the biggest shift, right? The one thing. So, like, yes, we've all got 15, 20, 45 things we want to change. But if we could dumb it down to one thing, free write for 3 minutes, pen to paper, don't take your pen off a piece of paper until you arrive at the one thing that would help you. And then go find somebody to help you with that.
Susie.
Yeah, this is such a good question. I was going to say the exact same thing as Leslie, is learn to say no first. You have to choose you, which means you have to choose less of something else. Generally speaking, those two cannot coexist always. And so learn to give yourself permission that it's okay if you don't volunteer in your kids' class this month. Give yourself permission that it's okay if you don't do the workout at the gym this month. Maybe it's okay to just do it at home this month. Like, to give yourself permission to say no and choose things that are right for you right now. And the second thing I would recommend is eating breakfast. This one is, I think, one of the least like one of the most underrated bits of advice people can get in this stage of life. Generally speaking, our stress levels are really high first thing when we wake up. This really helps balance your cortisol almost instantly, creates a shift in emotional eating, and gives you energy throughout the day. Highly recommend a protein-based breakfast within an hour of waking up. If you can do those two things, you're well on your way. And the third one I would recommend in the fitness space, I can't not put this one out there. Move your body in some way that you really just enjoy. If you like to walk, walk. There's no guilt in just doing walking for your workout. If you're like, oh, strength training sounds interesting, but I'm not ready for that, cool. It's fine. Like, do some squats on your bed. Do, something that you enjoy. If you can't think of anything you enjoy, just turn on some music like Emily and Nikki said, and just move. Like, just move your body in some way that brings you happiness. Those would be my three.
Nikki?
Okay, so mine's kind of funny because I've had this conversation with 3 people in the last week of, okay, if you think about yourself and you're your own caretaker, right? What grade would you give yourself as a caretaker? It is in basic thing. Like if you're just expecting someone to like take care of your child or your pet while you're gone, you should be fed, you should be watered, you should be hugged, right? A couple just basic things. So how well are you taking care of yourself? And here's 3 things I think you can do just to slightly step up a little bit. Okay. Number 1 is drink more water. It's the fitness side, right? That's the nutrition side because we are chronically dehydrated, and drinking more water can honestly do so many things to your body to help you function and nourish yourself. That just drink more water. It's really simple. Number 2 would be pick one thing that you can do for yourself that is going to happen this week. And that can be something as simple as I'm going to drink a cup of tea while it's warm and stare out the window the entire time. Or I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to journal, or I'm going to try a 5-minute meditation, something for yourself that is just selfish you that you should do. And then third one is make one appointment for something that helps you. That could be with a coach. That could be a nail appointment, a hair appointment. That could be with a personal trainer, anything. One appointment that you have thinking in your head, if I really need to schedule something with this person that's for you, schedule it this week. That's what I would suggest.
Awesome. Yes, lunch with a friend, as you say, Susie. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to jump in with my 3. I don't normally at this point, but I'm going to anyway because I feel like it. I echo Nikki's one of drinking water. I think hydration is key to really everything. I echo Susie's one about moving. And as you say, there's such a lot of stuff that you've got to be doing X, Y, and Z. But I think in terms of moving, I always think of it from the point of view of what do I need my body to be able to do? So I can't park my car particularly close to my house any longer because of the logistics of where we live. I need to be able to carry a bag of coal to the house. So I need to stay strong. So I need to be able to carry stuff because if I want to light the fire in the evening, I need to have carried the coal up here. I need to carry the dog food up here. So to me, strength training sort of takes on this word, and this it sort of becomes a bit like sort of self-care on Instagram, that it's become bigger than what it actually is. But actually, unless you're doing bodybuilding, obviously, as Nikki does, but that which is a very different thing. But basic strength training is about keeping your body working. It's just about being able to do the stuff you need to be able to do. Do you want to be able to play with your kids? Well, do some squats so that you can still bend down. Do you want to be able to carry coal up to the house? Well, make sure you've got a strong core and strong arms. It's just all of that stuff. It doesn't need to be broken down into what the gym looks like. It's just, how does my body function? How do I need it to? And music, always music. I always come back to just put some Wham on the radio. It'll be fine. Listen to Wham or ABBA. Everything's all right with Wham and ABBA. Right, just quickly before we finish, I'm just going to ask each of you where people can get in touch with you. So, Nikki, where can people find you?
Please go to my website. It's rootfornew, ROOTFORNEW.com. And you'll be able to book a free call with me if you want to chat. You can also find me in the perimenopause group as an expert. I try to post a lot, and you can DM me through that as well.
And by the way, if you follow Nikki on any of the socials, you get to see her goats and she does canning of amazing veg and fruit and stuff. And yeah, it's cool. Susie, where can people find you?
Sure. Our website is MEC Reset. That stands for Menopause Empowerment Circle, mecreset.com. And then you can find us at Jen and Susie, just written out Jen and Susie, SUZI, on any of the social medias.
Love it. And Leslie, where can we find you?
Yeah, so if you can see my Zoom name on your screen, just Leslie Urbis, and you can either do leslieUrbis.com or Leslie Urbis anywhere on any social media platform. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you all so much, ladies. I feel like we've helped people to feel a bit like January can be a bit easier and a bit calmer and a bit more forgiving. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.